Llewela Bailey.
On BBC WM 95.6.
Radio for the West Midlands.
It's just after 8:20. We're really rattling through Sunday breakfast this morning, aren't we? And it's been a good show, and we've played some brilliant music, and we're going to be playing some great music from now on. Let me tell you this, because it's now time for In Conversation, and my guest this morning is a young man called Alex Manners. Now, Alex, who was 21 yesterday, so he's very much a young man, is a media boy. He's a TV presenter. He's mainly involved in sport. He's a local lad. He lives in Solihull. That's right, isn't it, Alex?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, that's correct. And you got in touch with us because you've just started out in your career in the media as a TV presenter, because you do a lot on with sport, don't you? You're a big football fan.
Yes, I go to matches every single week. I film all the Solihull Moors matches for BT Sport. So, and then I support Birmingham, Swansea, and Burton Albion. And my whole room is just decked in football posters and pennants. So, football is just
football is your life.
Football is my life, as you could say.
Well, I think you're not alone there. You're not alone. But Alex, you have Asperger's. Am I correct in using that term? Because I know sometimes people like to, they don't often like to say they have Asperger's. How would you describe yourself?
Well, I feel lucky to have Asperger's. I'm really glad I've got it. And I look upon it as a positive, so
it's not like you don't see it like a condition or, a problem.
I think it brings out who I am. It brings out my colourful personality, and I don't think I'd be who I was if I didn't have Asperger's.
Yeah, and you certainly have got a colourful personality and colourful clothes.
Yes.
Just describe what you're wearing now.
I'm wearing a bright blue, it's blue with white and orange stripes, and it's called an Oppo suit.
Yeah. Looks good. Not sure it looks so good on me, but I thought you have to be very young to wear that. And as I said, you're 21 yesterday, and you went to watch the Blues play in Barnsley.
Yes, I went to watch the game. They didn't play as well as I would have liked, but it was a new ground for me, because I'm trying to do all the 92 Football League grounds, so it was another one I can tick off.
Yeah.
They didn't win, but I still thoroughly enjoyed the day.
Yeah, brilliant. A good birthday. Now, you have written and produced and presented a 1-minute guide to Asperger's syndrome, which is Asperger's, if people don't know what it is, it's on the autistic spectrum. And I have to tell you, Alex, and I'm not just flattering you, I watched it, and first of all, it made me laugh, right?
Thank you.
But the wonderful thing about it was, and I did show it to a couple of other people, and people who are involved in autism, they know a lot about that world. We all said the same thing. It taught us more, and it will teach people about what Asperger's is. So I'm hoping that we can actually play the 1-minute guide, but just in your own words, tell us, what is Asperger's?
Asperger's is a lifelong developmental condition, and there's lots of different. Everyone with Asperger's is different. So some, don't find communicating hard, and we have specialist subjects that we're really into, and we like routine, and yeah.
You do, yeah, and it is something, isn't it, that people sometimes look at. I'm talking for you now, but I would imagine people look at it and think of it as a problem. But for you, it's not. You've turned it very much into a positive, haven't you?
Yes, a lot of people think it's something that is a shame to have, but I always think, I've got it, I can't get rid of it, so use it to my benefit, and I'm glad I've got it.
And you certainly
like I said,
have.
I wouldn't be who I was.
And certainly I would imagine it would help you with your career, because you obviously, if you're following the football and you're filming and you're presenting it, you do need to have that type of mind that actually is able to concentrate.
Yes.
Yeah, well, good for you. Now, this is all about you. It's all about your life. It's about your personality, but it's also about your taste in music. And we're going to listen to your first choice, which I've got here is Poor Anchor.
Yes.
If you don't mind me saying, quite unusual for a 21-year-old. Tell me about it.
Well, my granddad got me into all the 50s and 60s music. When he used to pick me up from primary school, he used to play them in the car all the time. And he plays them all the time when I go to his house. So he's sort of brought me up on that kind of style of music.
And here it is. Paul Anchor, Diana, and that was the first choice of my guest, Alex Manners. And Alex, who is you're a media man, aren't you? TV presenter.
Yes.
You do a lot of work within the sort of the football area, and you're only 21.
Yeah. Only young.
21. Oh, you got your life ahead of you. Now, you describe yourself as quirky, creative, and different, and you have Asperger's. What is it? It's called Asperger's syndrome, but how do you say you've got Asperger's?
Yeah, I mean, it's a form of autism, so some people say I've got autism, but I just say I've got Asperger's.
Yeah, and as the well-known saying, isn't it? If you've met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person. Everybody's different.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we've got it on a spectrum. Now, what you've done, and that's the reason I wanted to get you on the show today, is you've produced a 1-minute guide to Asperger's, and you wrote it. Yeah.
Yes, I wrote it along with one of my friends who owns his own film company in Solihull.
Mm-hmm.
And we sort of produced it together. And me having Asperger's, I had a real insight into what it was like and what sort of things we could speak about. But we just wanted it to be a really fun, informative, quick guide for people to go, oh, yes,
That's what it is.
That's what Asperger's
and more
is.
importantly, too, Alex, I would think to make people think, that's why that person behaved in that way, or perhaps didn't like that noise, or there was something that was quite, they got anxious if a train was late, or whatever it is that they have a problem with. It'd make people understand, won't it?
Yeah, I mean, we just wanted it to be a fun, quick guide that people could identify as being, well, that's Asperger's, and we didn't want it to be too serious.
No, it's certainly not. It made me laugh, and a couple of other people. We're going to just go over and get a news update with Olivia Morley, and when we come back, I've got lots more to ask you because I just think you're such an interesting person. So you stay there, Alex. Well, you'll know all about being in the studio, won't you? Let's go over to the WN newsroom and join Olivia Morley. I have great pleasure in welcoming my guest, my In Conversation guest this morning, and that's Alex Manners, who is a media man. He's a TV presenter who does a lot of work in the sporting world, and he's just 21. I keep saying that, Alex, but I'm so impressed with you. 21 yesterday.
Yes.
Went to Barnsley to watch Blues play, didn't you? Because you're mad on football, you were saying.
Absolutely mad on football.
Yeah. When did that start?
It started when I went to my first match. My uncle always takes me to all the matches, and he took me to watch Birmingham City, I think back in 2007. And I sat starstruck throughout the game, and that moment I knew I wanted to just go to as many matches as I could.
Yeah. Do you play?
No, I used to play for a team, but for about a year or two. But no, I don't play anymore. I just follow. Really.
Now you've written and produced and presented a 1-minute guide to Asperger's syndrome, which is a type of autism.
Yes.
Which you have, and I just think it's a fabulous guide. I mean, for anyone who doesn't know what Asperger's is, after watching this for just that 1 minute, they'll learn something, because you've picked out 6 different areas, haven't you? That doesn't necessarily mean not everybody has the same types of likes and dislikes if you have Asperger's, but you've certainly put across the more common ones, haven't you?
Yeah, we just wanted to put across some of the main elements of Asperger's, and there's so many of them, we couldn't put them all in 1 minute, but we just wanted to highlight the main elements that a lot of people would identify with.
Well, do you know what? I've got it here. Let's have a listen to it.
Hi, my name is Alex Manners, and I have Asperger's, which is a form of autism. Asperger's is very hard to spot, and you can't tell just by looking. People with Asperger's can find the world a confusing mass of people, events, and places. Often, people with Asperger's find social situations hard, and find eye contact difficult. People with Asperger's very often take things literally. For example, raining cats and dogs. Or beating round the bush.
What's up, Alex?
People with Asperger's often have a specialist interest. Mine is football. Another trait of Asperger's can be sensory overload, such as sound or noise. People with Asperger's often have a love of routine. I've been Alex Manners, and that's been your 1-minute guide to Asperger's.
Do you know, I mean, you have to see it. I mean, there were some lovely bits in it because when you were talking about the ticking clock and then you saw you throwing a football at it, you couldn't sleep, and then buzz off, and it was you know, you running around very fast, Benny Hill style, sort of, weren't you? With the, you know,
Yes,
it's just
running up the
brilliant.
road.
And the routine one where you kept shutting the door and pouring out your cornflakes about 10 times. Fabulous, absolutely brilliant. Well done. It was wonderful. Now, Alex, tell me about yourself, because when were you actually diagnosed with Asperger's?
Well, I was diagnosed when I was about 10, so back in primary school. And at the time, the lady who was diagnosing me, it was me and my mum and my dad in a room, and she just said as blatantly as, "Alex, do you realise you have Asperger's?" And at the time, I had no idea what it was, and I was just wondering, well, what is Asperger's? What's autism? And after the meeting, my dad said to me, "Look, it's a good thing. You know, a lot of our family have Asperger's traits, so it's something to be positive about." And I think that's where my positive attitude towards it started.
Yeah, good for them, because it must have been a bit of a shock. But I would imagine it would have made a lot of sense.
Yes, I think because I was having a lot of struggles in primary school. I was quite almost depressed in primary school, and I didn't enjoy it at all. And I think one of the reasons was I think the teachers just didn't understand what Asperger's was, and I kind of needed to be treated differently because I had the condition, but they didn't want to treat me differently.
Well, there's still quite a lot of ignorance, isn't there, about it?
Yes, and certainly when I was diagnosed, it made them it opened their eyes, and it made them, I mean, even still when I first got diagnosed, they still didn't really give me any help. And it wasn't until someone came in and said, "Look, Alex has Asperger's, you need to treat him differently," that one or two things were put in place.
Yeah, because when the 1 Minute Guide to Asperger's Syndrome, you heard the thing about, for instance, the sensory problems. Like you said, the ticking clock. It's just such a horrible noise to you, isn't it? I mean, just simple things like that people who don't have or are not on the autistic spectrum could just make such a difference, can't they?
Yes, I mean, one of the things for me is if I'm wearing dark clothes, I can be quite depressed, and even doing something I enjoy, if I had to wear, say, a black outfit, I'd probably rather not do it. Whereas if I'm wearing colourful clothes, my whole personality changes, and I feel like I can conquer anything. And even just little things like that, like instead of wearing a grey or a black school uniform, if I could have worn, say, a red suit or something, or my own clothes, then it would have made my life in school so much better. And it's, for everyone, it's obviously different things, but it's always the small things that people
tiny
little things that wouldn't really make much of a difference to anyone else, that would make the most difference to someone with Asperger's.
And you were saying things like taking things literally, buzz off.
Yes.
You know, if I said that to you, well, probably you not now, probably because you understand. But when you were younger, that must have been a real problem, because we do say ridiculous things, don't we? If you think about it.
Yes. A lot of the phrases that people say, I really don't know what they mean. And I always say, can't you just say what you mean literally? But I've learned what some of them mean, and
it must be hard work, though, Alex. Every day you must feel like, you know, oh, here I go. I've got to work through this one.
Yeah, well, yes, it can be quite difficult, but as I've grown older, I've learned how to cope and how to understand when people are saying them. But one of my granddads, he says idioms all the time, and he always comes out with new ones, so it's always confusing when I'm speaking. Yeah. And do you find that people can be very ignorant about it? I think one of the things is people just are not aware that I've got Asperger's, because a lot of people with Asperger's find it hard to communicate, whereas I find it really easy, and I feel that my Asperger's has allowed me to be able to express myself more and communicate better with people. But it's a hidden disability, so you know, people just don't realise that I've got Asperger's.
Yeah, but as you said, you've turned it into a positive, and I think you should be really proud of yourself. It's great. It's really good. In fact, your glasses are wonderful, by the way. We've talked about your suit. They sort of got, they're unusual.
Yes, they're orange-rimmed glasses with like a doggy Dalmatian print.
I'll tell you what, Alex, if you say it's a silent disability, you are standing out with your colours you've got on. You're certainly, you're making your presence known, which is good, especially if you want to be a TV presenter. Now, your next choice of music, again, it's a blast from the past, which sort of is surprising, but a great song. Just tell us what it is. I've got here Guy Mitchell.
Yes, it's Singing the Blues, so it's another one that my granddad used to play to me, and he always used to play Guy Mitchell, and I love Guy Mitchell. but it's also one of the songs that one of my favourite teams, Birmingham City, sings. And funnily enough, they were singing it yesterday at the game.
Oh, wonderful.
So
What
that
better
was-
in Barnsley?
Yes.
Here it is. Thank you, David. You can see I'm so excited about talking to you. I just cut you off in your prime. Thanks very much. We'll
problem.
catch up
Thanks
with you
for that.
later. Thank you. My in-conversation guest this morning is a man who I think it's fair to say I think he's going to go places. And that is Alex Manners, who is only 21. Just, aren't you, Alex? Yesterday?
Yes, just yesterday.
And you did media studies, didn't you, at college?
Yes.
Yeah, and then you do some TV presenting for sort of sports channels, don't you? And because you're mad on football.
Yes.
Just remind us again of the teams that you like.
I support Birmingham, Swansea and Burton Albion, and I film all the Solihull Moors games for BT Sport, so I go and watch my local non-league side
Right.
as well.
And any ambitions where you want to go from? Because I mean, at 21, your world's your oyster. You can any areas you want to go to in the media?
Yes, I mean, the main areas that I'm passionate on is children's television and sport, and those are the two areas I'd love to work in. So in television presenting, but also I'd love to do some presenting on autism, maybe some stand-up speaking about Asperger's and autism, maybe even have my own show.
You could. Do you know what? I think you could almost do a comic turn. I mean, and I say that as someone who's got a child with autism, so I'm not mocking anybody, because some areas of autism they can be quite amusing, can't they, Alex?
Yes, I mean, there's so many different areas of autism, and for instance, one of my friends is, like I'm mad on football, his specialist subject is bins and skips, and he loves them, and that's just one of his personalities and one of his traits.
Because your other area, am I right about this? You like Neighbours.
I absolutely love Nathan.
I'm not laughing at you, but
No.
Can I just ask you now? What is it you see in Neighbours?
I think it's a show that, well, I've always watched it, but it just takes me away from the real world and puts me somewhere where I can sort of fantasize about this other world. And it just gives me something that when I'm older, hopefully, I can go to Australia. And
Well, it's no different from people watching soaps, is it? People watch Coronation Street, EastEnders and that sort of thing. But if I was to say to you, I'm just going to test out your Asperger's now. If I said to you, no, Alex, you're never going to watch Neighbours again, you can't watch it, that's it, for the next few weeks, would it upset you?
I think it would. I sometimes go maybe a week without watching it, but I always try and catch it 2 or 3 times a week. Yeah, it would sort of feel a bit like there's something empty.
I bet your mum and dad love that. Neighbours on all the time in the house.
Yeah.
Must be great.
They never watch it with me.
No, I bet
it's
they
always
do.
my grandma.
Oh, does she? Does she watch
Yeah,
it?
she always,
Yeah.
whenever I'm around there, she always puts it on.
Oh, and how important is your family to you? I mean, have you found? I mean, they sound wonderful, don't they? It's Julie and Andrew, your mum and
Yes,
dad. They
Mum
sound
and Dad.
great.
Yeah, they're really supportive for what I do, and I've got loads of uncles and aunts, and I've got, I think, 16 or 17 cousins, and I'm always round at my nan and granddad, so I've always got someone I can go to. So if I need a little break from home, I can always go to my nan and granddad's. And it's even getting to the stage now where I'm probably staying at my nan and granddad's more than I am at my own home.
That does happen. That does happen. I always say, I've got my first grandchild, and I always say, I don't think you'll ever leave now. I'll always have a child in the house.
Yes.
So, as far as going back to this wonderful 1 minute guide, and I urge people to watch it. It's 1 minute of your time to watch it. Just remind us how people can click on and have a look.
Well, if they go onto YouTube and type in 1 minute guide to Asperger's, then it will come to the top. Or the YouTube channel is called 1 Minute Guides. So we're hoping to produce some more. We're hoping to get some funding to produce some more guides on specific aspects of Asperger's. So one maybe on sensory issues or changes or special interests.
Or maybe in the workplace, because that's the time, isn't it, where it can get a bit difficult.
Yeah, funnily enough, that's something that my dad suggested about doing some videos on employing people with Asperger's, because it can be such a benefit to
Well, they're
businesses.
supposed to make the best workers.
Yes.
Because they're good timekeepers, and they don't shirk from a job. Did you know, Alex, now this is a bit of information you can take away with you, probably know it already, that most of the people who work at NASA have Asperger's.
No, I didn't know that.
Yep. Well, if I was going to be put in a rocket and sent up to the moon, I'll tell you what, I'd like somebody with Asperger's at the controls, because that would mean that they weren't going to be absolutely distracted by anything.
No.
So if you think about it, but yeah, that is a fact. That is,
Yes.
It's actually called the Asperger's waiting room.
Yes.
There you go. There's a bit of information. Conversations flagging later.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean by that? Flagging later, you can come up with that little bit of useless information. Alex, I've loved meeting you, and I wish I could. I'm going to take a photograph of you with this suit on because it's a wonderful suit. Where did you get it from?
It was Oppo Suits. They sent it to me because I sent them a photo of me when I was in some bright clothes. I was having some photos with some celebrities at a golf tournament, and I said, "Would you like me to wear some suits when I go on the TV and the radio?" And they just sent me 2 of their suits.
It's wonderful. Really lovely. It's been a delight, and I just need to know your last choice of music. Again, we're going back in time. It's Lloyd Price, am I right?
That's right, yes.
Yeah. Tell me why you like this.
It's a song called Personality, and again, it's another one that my granddad plays, but my dad always remembers that when I was younger, he remembers when I was once standing outside the house by my granddad's car, and this song was playing, and I was dancing and singing on the pavement to this song, and my dad remembers filming me out of the window. It's just one of those songs that I've always really enjoyed, and it just brings back memories of...
Good memories.
Good memories.
Good memories. Alex, congratulations on reaching 21,
Thank
key
you.
to the door and all that. I hope you'll come back and tell us how you're getting on, and we wish you all the very best, from the team.
Thank
here.
you, I enjoyed it.
And thanks for coming in and telling us about the 1-minute guide to Asperger's syndrome. I mean, and please watch it. It'll make you laugh, make you chuckle, even if it's for 1 minute. Thank you very much, Alex, and here's your last choice of music. And it's almost 9 o'clock. Time to say goodbye. I've just had such a great time this morning. Great music, great guest. Wasn't Alex just terrific? As I said, I think that's a young lad who really is going to go far. I'll be back next week, bright and early and chirpy and all that business. But as I say it every week, I couldn't do it without you. So join me then. That's it. Daz and Alison are up next. Let's have some Spandau Ballet.